Hello, I'm Catherine McGuire. Welcome to the Soul Alchemist podcast. If you are on a journey of personal and spiritual growth, you are in the right place. It's my desire each week to share wisdom, inspiration, and practical tools with you to help you release old, gunky, stagnant energy and transform it into life force that you can use to manifest the life of your desires. Welcome along on what is a beautiful day in southern Italy. The sun rose over the mountain this morning. It burnt away all that early morning mist, and we now have a beautiful day with blue skies and little fluffy white clouds. It's absolutely gorgeous. And yesterday, I took myself off down to the coast to the beauticians, and I had a manicure and a pedicure. I think it's probably last autumn when I had a manicure and a pedicure last. But the lovely lady, she just sloughed off. She took away all that old, dead, dry skin. And I just came out really feeling zingy. I really felt like, I had a pep in my step and that I'd really embraced that energy of sloughing off the old, sloughing off winter, sloughing off that cold that I've had and really stepped into that energy of renewal and rebirth. So wherever you are, I wish that for you as well, that lovely springtime renewal, rebirth energy. All righty. I have something lovely for you today. I got a call during the week from a lovely woman who wanted to do some one to one sessions. And the reason she wanted to do some one to one sessions was because she said to me, I don't feel I've stepped into the totality of who I am. She said, to the outside world, it looks like I have a really good life. And she said, I do. But I feel like I'm not fully me, that like I pull back, I hold back, and in different situations or different circumstances, I kind of make myself small still. I really want to step in to the totality of who I am and feel that. She said to me, I'm in my mid-50s. I don't know how long I've left on this earth, but I don't want to leave this earth without fully, totally being me. And I thought, wow, that is such fabulous awareness. And she went on to say that, there was for a big period of her life, she worked from that place of not feeling not good enough. But she said, I don't believe that's where I am. She said, I don't think that's where I'm at now. I really feel this is something different. And I don't quite know how to step into that. And that's why she was looking for help. So I was really inspired by her explanation of where she was at, and I wanted to share that with you, something about that today, because I think a lot of people resonated, which is the difference between moving from that place of not good enough and moving through your life from that place of not good enough, as opposed to stepping into the totality of who you are. And from the outside, they can look the same, but they're actually really different. So when we're not good enough, when we feel we're not good enough, when we believe we're not good enough, it's like there's this big black hole of energy inside us. It's a black hole. And we move through life trying to fill that hole. So we put stuff in there. So you might put in careers, or you might put in partners or lovers or nice cars or jewelry, or I don't know, handbags or stuff. You'll put stuff in. You'll work through life to accrue accolades or stuff in the hope that when you put them in to the black hole, they'll fill the black hole. And sometimes we do that vicariously. So sometimes you can do that through your children. So sometimes you might push your children forward to do stuff, or to compete in stuff or to get awards, or your partner or whatever that is. So the thing is, we can never fill that black hole. We can never fill that black hole of not good enough. And the thing about the not good enough is it is absolutely exhausting, because it keeps you running, forcing, pushing, doing. There's also there's always the one next thing. If I just have this one next thing, or do this one next thing, or renovate this house, or get a bigger house, or get a bigger car, or get a better husband, or whatever it is, then I will feel enough. And that's never the case. And when we're not good enough, we're also often in that energy of jealousy. We're in that energy of looking over our shoulder because we always feel that somebody better is coming along and going to kind of usurp us or take our place or show us up. And it's really in some ways kind of a trauma response because you're always in that, like, what bad thing is coming that's going to like undermine everything I worked on or everything I've built. All right. So what, the energy around that, not good enough is exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. And there's no end to that black hole. There is no end to that black hole. So our work as alchemists is not to keep putting stuff into the black hole to try and kind of fill up the black hole. Our work is to look at, well, why do I not feel good enough? And that's that stuck, stagnant energy that we need to alchemize to release the life force from it, to release the potentiality from it, so that we step into ourselves as opposed to trying to put stuff into the black hole. All right. And it's big work. There's no lying to you. Like, when we start to unpeel, those layers of not good enough, that's what there are. There are layers. So there's often different layers. There might be family layers. There might be stuff that happened at school. There might be life experiences. There might be stories, culture layers. But when you unpack the not good enough, you set yourself free. And you also save yourself so much time, so much energy, and so much money chasing the things that you've been trying to use to put into the black hole of your being to fill it up. All right. So you become free. You get your time back. You get your energy back. You get your cash back because you're not spending it on stuff you don't need. Right. You'll often get your health back, because sometimes all that running and exhausting yourself costs you your health. So the not good enough is just draining. All right. So, and that is the work for many people at a certain point in their life to face up to that, face up to that. I'm not a good enough sister. I'm not a good enough daughter. I'm not a good enough partner. I'm not a good enough employee. I'm not a good enough, whatever it is, citizen, whatever it is. All right. So there's something to look at there and to work through. But that's not where this woman was at who got in touch with me during the week. She's looked at her not good enough, but there's still something there. But instead of it being a black hole, the way she described it is that she doesn't feel like she stepped into the totality of who she is. So, like, there's space between who she is now and who she knows she can be. And it feels like she's holding herself back. So, can you see how that's different? It's not putting something into a black hole. It's like there's distance. There's distance. She's not fully expanding out into the furthest reaches of who she is. And she's plain and small in some regards, first and foremostly to herself. And that's where she's feeling the tension. That's where she's feeling the tension that wants her to explore this and step into herself fully in new ways. And that's a different energy. When we move towards the totality of who we are from that place, we're moving towards something. We're not trying to run away from not feeling good enough. And that energy is an energy of expansion. It's an energy of emergence. It's a beautiful energizing energy, because the more we expand into ourselves, the more of our own energy, our own life force we have access to. And at the moment, in different gardens around the village, the peony roses are in bloom. And I don't know if you know peony roses, but peony roses are gorgeous. They've this really fluffy flower head, and they're so multi-layered, you know? And I really feel when we step into the totality of who we are, that's like that beautiful peony rose bloom. It's like there's layers, and the peonies usually have different kind of colors and textures, in each petal. They're really just the most exquisite flower. And they're soft. There's a softness to them, there's a delicateness to them. And for me, that stepping into the totality of who we are is like a peony. It's a blooming. We bloom into the fullness of ourselves, and it's a spiral journey. We will, step into the totality of ourselves for who we are now in this moment, this year. And then there will be another evolution. So, when the peony roses finish flowering, those petals will go to the earth. They will become compost for new growth. Eventually, the leaves will go back into the ground over next winter. And then next spring, when that peony comes back above the ground again, there will be extra blooms because she is going into a new growth cycle and she increases with each growth cycle. And that's us. But she's still at her core a peony rose. She's not trying to be something she's not. She's not trying to prove herself. She knows in her essence who she is. And a huge freedom comes like that. And as opposed to the place of not good enough, where we're constantly in what bad things happening or who's going to find us out, and imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff. When we're moving into the totality of who we are, we move into a different energy, which is what good thing is coming? What good thing is coming? Because you're in a frequency of expansion. You're in a frequency of growth. You're energized. It doesn't mean you won't have some things to work through. It doesn't mean you won't have some alchemy to do. But that alchemy is based on where am I holding back as opposed to not feeling good enough. Can you see the difference? And there's nothing wrong with either. This is not a judgment on not good enough. Not good enough is a big part of, I'd say, probably most people's stories, you know? But there's a point after moving through that, moving through the not good enough, which is the past, really, because it's our past experiences that have created that belief. There's a moment then where we look forward into stepping into the totality of who we are. So, my invitation to you this week is to have a little look at your journey. Where are you? Are you in the not good enough? Are you maybe moving into the totality of who you are? It is possible. It is absolutely possible to have one foot in both camps, that you're working on some not good enough while moving into the totality of who you are. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's to bring awareness to it. Because if you understand where you are, the journey gets easier. And then there's a point in that journey we have to go, am I willing to let go of the belief that I'm not good enough? Am I willing to let go of that belief? And if you're willing to let go of the belief, all of a sudden that energy starts to free up and makes more energy available for stepping into the totality of you. And then the next question is, am I willing to step into the totality of who I am? Which means you're willing to stop playing small. You're willing to stop holding back. You're willing to go for that dream that lives in your heart, even if it freaking terrifies you. It's like, am I willing to stretch into that? All right, like the beautiful peony, am I willing to stretch and open? And the thing about the peony rose is, as she blossoms, as she opens, and she gives the gift of who she, is to the world, her beauty, her fragrance. Don't know if the centers of peonies where the stamen in are just so exquisite. The whole thing about a peony rose is so beautiful. But as that peony rose blossoms, when she gets to the peak of her blossoming, then that beautiful blossom is going to start to disintegrate and fall apart. But she doesn't blossom. She doesn't refuse to blossom because she knows at the peak of the blossom, all those petals are going to fall. She knows when she reaches the peak of her blossom, that's the totality, that's the fullness of who she is. And then as those blossoms come back to, and those petals come back to the ground, they become the next cycle's growth. So it's the same for us. Are we willing to step into the totality of who we are in this moment? Whether that's in your relationships, in your physical well-being, in your emotional well-being, in your financial well-being, in your career, in how you show up in the world. Are you willing to step into the totality of that? Knowing that in that moment of totality, when you reach the peak, the full blossom, the petals will fall. And then there'll be time for more integration, and that energy will be composted. So the next level of totality can spiral around and back into your life. And that takes a courageous heart, because that's where we become in flow with life, in flow with the universe, in flow with our soul's purpose. We can't, grasp onto that moment of blossoming forever. It's like we try to hold on to full summer. We don't want winter. We don't want autumn, whatever it is. It's like, are we willing to step into the totality of who we are, knowing when we reach those edges, that next season, next cycle, those edges will be a little further out and there'll be more space to grow into ourselves all over again. But that's from a place of joy. That's from a place of energizing. That's from a place of curiosity and expansion. It's not from a place of not feeling good enough. So, can you feel the difference? So, my invitation, as I said to you, is explore. Where are you? Where are you on that journey? Are you in the not good enough? Are you in the stepping into the totality of who you are? Have you a foot in both camps? And then the question, how would it be? How would it be to let go of the not good enough story? And how would it be to lean, stretch, expand a bit more fully into the totality of you? So that's what I want to leave you with today, an exploration, a curiosity. Go and have an explore. And if you do, if you really want to step into the totality of who you are, if you really want to tap into the very essence of who you are, your life force, and use that to bring this next blossoming of you forward, to step into that totality, join me. Join me on April 26th in Dublin. That's what we're going to be doing from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. in Alchemize Your Life. We're going to be really stepping into that totality of who you are. So if you are on the cusp of a new chapter or on a new growth spiral, or you know that you've been holding back and you know there's something bigger inside me that wants to be born, come along, come along. Some beautiful women have booked onto this workshop. It's going to be just a gorgeous, gorgeous, soulful, powerful, transformative, fun, joyous morning. So if you feel that's something you want to do, get in touch. Email me at Catherine@catherinemaguire.com or message me on Instagram. But it's going to be a beautiful day. So this is my offering, as we step into this spring energy. Can you be the Peony Rose? Are you willing to be the Peony Rose? Are you willing to step into the totality of who you are? Are you willing to blossom? Are you willing to blossom and see where that takes you and to enjoy the energy, the expansion, the fullness that brings into your life and the magic? So that's what I want to leave you with today. Have a gorgeous, gorgeous week. Sending you loads of love. And I'll see you next Wednesday for more wisdom. Slán, agus ciao.